Hey y'all, it's Joel from Austin, Texas, and I'm about to tell you a story about my $223 investment that changed the trajectory of my life. It doesn't sound much, right? But that's the amount that changed my life. And it's not because of the money itself, it's about the decision and what I did with it. It's about what that decision meant. So back in 1999, I was a kid in New York City, immigrant, no papers, no legal status, no family support, very little support, and working under the table for $5 an hour at a bagel store. So that $223 in today's money, that's about 400 bucks. For a kid making $5 an hour with zero safety net, that's everything. And I spent it all on one bet. I bet on myself. And this is that story. So you see, back then, I was deep in the victim mindset. Deep. And I'm growing up, around kids, American kids, with families, with validation, and with opportunities that was handed to them, and looking at them thinking, I can't do that. I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have papers. I can't get a real job. I can't go to college. Just excuses instead of like saying, hey, what I can do anyway. So all I could see were the things that I couldn't do, not on the things that I could. That said, what did I do? I complained, I whined, I bitched. And I was that depressed kid, shoulders down, eyes down, energy down. And that kid, that was me. No conviction, no belief, just survival mode and resenting the world. But here's the thing. I did take one shot, and it almost didn't happen. I was walking past this bagel store in Brooklyn, New York, and I saw the help wanted sign. I walked in, and in my voice, as I'm walking in, says, hey, they're going to say no. Why bother, man? They're just going to say no like everyone else. And you don't have papers, you don't have anything. So don't waste your time. This is what was going on. And that voice was loud. And I almost listened to it, but I didn't. I pushed through despite it. I walked in anyway, no appointment, no resume, just a desperation and a tiny sliver of hope. And I said, hey, I see the help wanted sign. Can I get a job here? My energy was terrible back then. I wasn't convincing. And my shoulders, they were down. And they hired me. They gave me a shot. Right? And looking back, I think they saw something. Maybe they saw the potential. Maybe they just had patience. Either way, they didn't fire me on the spot when I was fucking up. I was fucking up back then. They gave me a chance. And that job, $5 an hour, that was the first crack in the victim mindset. Because I tried, despite the voice telling me not to. And I worked that job for a couple of months, grinding, saving every penny I could. $5 an hour, adds up slowly when you're not spending it on in anything, not going out, no fun, and just work and save. Work and save, that's what I did. Now, I seen Tony Robbins, his infomercials, I'm sure you've seen those too, maybe back then. For years, that big tooth mofo, I love Tony. His 30-day program, and this guy helping transform people's lives. And every time I saw it, I would think maybe, but I can't afford it now. But after a couple of months at the bagel store, something shifted. I was sick and tired. Not just tired, I was sick and tired of living this way. and sick of being the victim, that story looping, sick of the complaints. And I looked at myself and said, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do this. And this guy has helped thousands of people. Maybe he can help me as well. So I saved up every penny I could until I had $223. That's $400 in today's, dollar. Everything I had. I gave the money to a friend, and he put it on his credit card, placed the order. And when I picked up the box set, it's a big box of CDs back in the days, and I made a decision right there. I'm going all in. No half measures, no half-assing it. No, not I will try this for 30 days, and if it doesn't work, I want my money back. None of that shit. No, I'm going all in. I'm doing everything in this program, every CD, every exercise, every note, that I need to take, everything. And because I had nothing to lose and everything to gain, things started to work. And here's what's important. It didn't change my life in 30 days. That's not how this works. But something started to shift. And here's the beautiful part. It wasn't just in my head. It showed up in real life. Yes. And while I'm doing the program, I'm also becoming much better at the bagel store. 6 months in, I'm not the same kid anymore, not that depressed kid. I'm learning everything. How to make bagels from scratch, bake them, and the full workflow, the gambit, and the deli, how to prepare it. Basically, I was running the shop and absorbing it all. And I'm becoming fast. I became one of the fastest worker there. And my boss notices it, and he pulls me aside. He says, hey, you know what? You really picked it up. And that's not sympathy, not at all. That's acknowledgement. And then the raises started to come in. That was the sweet part. 50 cents here, 50 cents there. Of course, I had to ask. Sometimes it's like pulling teeth, so, but that $5 an hour became $5.50, $6, and $6.50. Eventually $8 in 1989, $8. I thought I was hot shit. And that 60% raise in less than 2 years. So 50 cents at a time, and I'm thrilled because it's progress and real tangible progress I can point to in my life. That's when I realized something. I remember listening to Tony and reading about the people who had way less than me. I mean, way, way less. People who survived things that I couldn't even imagine. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what the fuck am I bitching about, man? What am I complaining about? Why do I have this victim mindset? And that's when it hit me. I wasn't suffering because I was an immigrant. I was suffering because I had adopted this entitled, bratty victim narrative. And I was around American kids who had things that were handed to them, and instead of seeing that as a motivation to work harder and be a survivor and a thriver, I was using it as an excuse. They have it easy, so I can't compete. That's weak, man. That's not American. That's not an immigrant. That shit is just plain weak. And then something flipped. I start to see my immigrant background differently, not as a handicap, but as an advantage. And see the most successful people I know, even the ones that were born in the US, even the ones with a high paying job, like super status, they have that immigrant grinder mentality. Yes, they do. They're thrifty, They don't fucking waste time. They work super hard, and they don't make excuses. They figure it out. That's not an immigrant thing or an American thing. That's a universal winners thing. And I realized I have access to both worlds. I have, the work ethic of an immigrant, the grit, the hunger, and I have the opportunity of being in America, one of the greatest countries in the world, if not the greatest countries. Well, that combination, that's unstoppable. 1 year in, I'm a very different person. I had new energy, new pep in my step. I was focused in school. I was saving for a community college, and I was building instead of complaining. By the way, that job helped me pay for my 4-year college degree. Yep. Now, here's the honest truth. That Tony Robbins program didn't really build me. It plugged the holes. Think of it like this. I had a dam. We all have a dam. It's a dam of the psyche. And the dam holds the water in, right? And the water is like the challenges of life, right? In my belief system, it had multiple holes in that dam. Leaks everywhere, man. The victim mindset, the self-doubt, fear, excuses. And that program, it just plugged the holes temporarily. It stopped the bleeding. But it didn't really build a brand new fortress level dam from scratch that could withstand anything. That took years. That took discipline. That took real work. And that took failure in getting back up again and again. That took community and brotherhood and lots of prayer. And of course, cold showers, exercise, exerting the will in the body, and brainwashing myself to love doing hard shit. Looking myself in the mirror, and then every single day, I'm saying it, it's like that. So that $223 investment was just the beginning. It cracked the door open. It said, hey, maybe you're not stuck. Maybe you're not a victim. Maybe you can change. But the real fortress, the real integration, that happened in the last 10 years. And that's when I truly unified everything, the immigrant hunger, and the American dream, and the opportunities that are here, and the warrior and the lover. So there are different archetypes. I'm sure you know about the different archetypes. If you don't, comment below, I'll elaborate. So now they both fully alive, both integrated into unshakable force. One integrated dam, strong, solid, built to last. And you know that that's what's wild, that integration. That's not the real Renaissance. It didn't happen overnight. It took a decade of consistent work. And why? Well, that's a whole other story, a story for another day. So when I think about the $223 right now, that's $400 in today's money. And it wasn't just the money that changed my life. It was the decision behind it. It was me saying, I believe something different. And it is possible. And I'm willing to bet everything on it. And I have, on that belief, do it, execute. And when it was me proving it to myself, getting better at the bagel store, learning everything, earning raises, building momentum, that's the real investment. Not the dollars, the faith, and the willingness to go all in. When you have nothing, and then the willingness to do it and work every single day, that's what I want you to hear from me. You don't need a fancy program. You don't need a guru. You just need to decide that your current story is no longer serving you. You need to look at yourself and ask, am I building or am I complaining? Am I combining my strengths or am I hiding behind my excuses? Because that's where the real growth lives. Not in the thing you buy, in the decision you make, and about who you are going to become. And then the consistent action you take day in and day out to prove it to yourself. So that $223 taught me that and by the way, it's still teaching me today, all these things. And here's the real question. What's your $223? What's the bet you need to make on yourself right now? Comment below. Tell me what inspired you, and let's grow together. Let's do this.